Nanda walked alongside Safi, absorbing the lively atmosphere of Thebes, the grand capital of ancient Egypt during the reign of Pharaoh Amenhotep III. The air was thick with humidity and filled with the scent of blooming lotus flowers and papyrus. The sounds of bleating animals, merchants shouting, and the distant clanging of metal filled the air. She caught snippets of conversation, talk of crops, festivals, and prayers to the gods. To her astonishment, she realized she could not only speak but also understand Egyptian. No Duolingo subscription needed. Thebes was no barren wasteland. It thrived along the Nile's life-giving banks. People bustled about, carrying baskets filled with grain, fruit, and spices. Palm trees swayed in the breeze, and the blue river shimmered in the distance, reflecting the golden sunset. Life pulsed through the city, and Nanda felt a strange sense of belonging, as though she'd known this place in a past life. She padded cautiously, dodging feet and stepping over sharp stones. Her thoughts drifted to Bastet, the cat goddess. After hearing so many stories about her, Nanda now stood in the land where Bastet had once been worshipped. It was incredible, but also unsettling. In the heart of Thebes, the myths felt distant and insignificant compared to the grandeur of this place. It wasn't just a story anymore, it was real. She could almost feel Bastet's presence in the very stones beneath her paws. But what did it mean to be here as a mere house cat? Would Bastet look upon her favorably, or was this some cosmic mistake? Nanda didn't know, but there was a stirring inside her, a connection to something ancient and beyond mere admiration. It felt like an understanding, a recognition that transcended time and myth. Bastet had always been more than just a goddess to Nanda, even in Grace's stories. She wasn't merely a protector of cats. She was fierce, determined, and undeniably powerful. It wasn't the myths of destruction or protection that resonated with Nanda, but the essence of Bastet herself, and perhaps who Nanda could become. She rounded a corner into a quieter part of the city, where the noise of the market was muffled by high walls. Ahead, the vast temple complex of Karnak rose before her. The sun still beat down, but the air felt different, almost sacred. It seemed charged, ancient. A sense of something just beyond the mortal realm tingled through her, as if the atmosphere itself was warning her of something. That's when she realized Safi was no longer by her side. Only moments before, Safi had been animatedly sharing stories about the Temple of Mahat, her eyes sparkling with the promise of knowledge. But as they neared the sacred site, Safi had turned to Nanda with a knowing smile. "You must experience this on your own for a moment. There is something waiting for you." With that, Safi vanished, leaving Nanda to explore the temple's grandeur alone. As Nanda approached, a sleek black cat perched on a low wall across from her caught her attention. Its fur shimmered with a subtle blue tinge that seemed to absorb the sunlight, creating an ethereal aura. But it was the cat's golden eyes, glowing with an ancient wisdom, that truly captivated her. The weight of its presence was undeniable, and Nanda felt a magnetic pull. Finally, the cat spoke, its voice low and smooth, like the flow of the Nile. "I thought you might wander off into the crowd." Nanda blinked slowly. "Not my style," she replied. "I prefer to stay in the shade and to slay in the shade." She twitched her whiskers in amusement. "And your royal presence?" The black cat smiled slightly. "I am Bastet," she said, her voice carrying an ancient authority. Nanda's mind stumbled at the realization. Bastet, the goddess herself. She knew she should feel awe, but instead a mix of wonder and disbelief surged through her. Taking a deep breath, she let the weight of the moment settle around her like a mantle, stirring both reverence and curiosity. "So, the goddess of cats herself," Nanda began, keeping her tone casual despite her racing heart. "What's a divine being like you doing in a place like this?" Meeting a legend face to face was an entirely different experience, and Nanda hoped this wouldn't turn out to be one of those disappointing encounters. She had heard that you should never meet your heroes. Bastet's golden eyes softened with a gleam of mischief. "I summoned you here, Nanda. There's a great danger in these lands, one that threatens the balance between life and death." Nanda raised an eyebrow, or at least the feline equivalent. "Shampoo?" she asked, recalling the name from the stories she'd heard. Bastet nodded. Shampoo, a sorcerer once trusted by Pharaoh Amenhotep. Revered for his knowledge of the arcane, he was able to commune with the gods. But his ambition grew, and he delved into forbidden magic. Now he seeks power beyond his reach, a quest that could unravel the natural order. Nanda sighed inwardly. Of course, it's always some power-hungry mortal stirring up trouble. Bastet stepped closer, her movements fluid and graceful, like a shadow under the moon. It's more than that. Shempu has tapped into ancient forces tied to the gods. And you are bound to those forces. The pendant you wear connects you to the ancient ways, to me. Fortunately, Shempu does not possess it. When combined with the power of the Golden Scarab, when fully charged, it is as powerful as an atomic bomb. Golden Scarab? Nanda asked, intrigued. You'll know it when you see it, Bastet said. You'll feel it. You won't doubt it. You must take it from Shempu if you can. Do your best. It will not harm you. The pendant will ensure your safety. I believe in you. Nanda's gaze fell to the pendant around her neck. It hummed faintly against her chest, its warmth making sense now. I always thought jewelry was overrated, she muttered. Bastet's soft chuckle was like a breeze over the sands. You've always spoken your mind, haven't you? Nanda smirked. What can I say? It's a gift. Her curiosity got the better of her. Why cats, though? Why are we so important to you? Bastet's golden eyes gleamed, her expression softening with ancient memories. In my early days, I was a kitten by the Nile, curious, fearless. I learned the delicate balance of protection and ferocity. Cats embody this duality. We are guardians of the home yet fierce when threatened, hunters and nurturers, wild and domestic. She paused, her gaze sharpening on Nanda. In us, the balance of ferocity and protection is eternal, just as I walk the line between Sekhmet and Bastet. Independent yet forming bonds with those who respect us, we are the perfect symbol of balance. Nanda grinned, not to mention our impeccable style. Bastet smiled. Indeed. Nanda's mind wandered back to her own kitten days, when she was barely old enough to swat at dust particles in Grace's living room. Back then, Nanda had thought it was just a charming nickname, when Grace called her Bastet's child. But now, standing before the goddess, it felt like destiny. Why me? Nanda asked, her voice softer, more serious. Out of all the cats, why drag me into this? Bastet regarded her with a knowing look. Because you are clever, Nanda. And because the pendant binds you to the past, to powers that predate us both. You've been chosen, not just by me, but by forces older than either of us. Nanda let out a slow breath, narrowing her eyes as the gravity of the situation sank in. Right. So stop an ancient sorcerer with forbidden powers. Easy peasy. Bastet's golden gaze never wavered. You won't be alone. But before you enter the Temple of Ma'at, there is something crucial you must learn. Seek the Temple of Thoth. There you'll find the knowledge needed to prepare you for what lies ahead. Nanda furrowed her brow. But I thought I was supposed to go to Ma'at's temple? Bastet nodded. You will, but Thoth's wisdom will guide you in understanding all that Ma'at embodies. It's essential for your journey. Nanda paused, considering her words. All right, Thoth's temple it is. Bastet inclined her head. Good luck, Nanda, and trust in yourself. The strength of 1,000 cats runs through your veins. Nanda smirked, feeling a surge of confidence. I always did feel a little extra. With that, Bastet disappeared into the shadows, her presence fading as quickly as it had come. Nanda stood for a moment, letting the weight of her mission settle in. The Temple of Thoth, a goddess who believed in her, and the mysterious Shempu, it was a lot to take in. Well, here's to more adventure I didn't sign up for, Nanda muttered, shaking her head as she continued her exploration of the bustling streets. Now I'm supposed to be the hero of the story. I'm just a cat, not Indiana Jones or Lara Croft. But deep down, Nanda knew she was more. Bastet's power still lingered in the air around her, mixing with the sense of spices and the earthiness of the Nile's banks. She was at the center of something much larger than herself. As she padded through the narrow, sun-drenched paths, her senses sharpened, and her thoughts returned to her mission. She rounded another corner, stepping into a quieter part of the Karnak complex. Far from the chaos of the markets, the towering pillars of the Temple of Thoth loomed ahead, casting long shadows over the stone pathways. It was as though she had entered another world, a world of ancient wisdom. The temple stood before her, grand and imposing, its facade adorned with carvings of sacred ibis birds and papyrus reeds. Nanda paused, taking it all in. Thoth, god of wisdom and knowledge, she murmured, recalling Grace's lessons. Let's hope he's in a good mood today. She approached the entrance, where two towering statues of Thoth flanked the doorway, their ibis heads watching over her. A flicker of doubt crept into Nanda's mind as she peered into the dimly lit temple. What exactly was she supposed to find here? Answers? A way to stop Shampoo? Or perhaps just more questions? With a deep breath, Nanda stepped inside, her paws making the faintest pitter-patter on the cool stone floor. The interior of the temple was vast, with towering columns and walls lined with hieroglyphs, which her sharp eyes scanned with keen interest. They looked familiar, reminiscent of the late nights spent with Grace, listening to her read aloud. In that world, the symbols had seemed distant and abstract. Here they breathed life into this very place, offering a glimpse into the minds of those who had tread these paths long before her. The scent of burning incense filled the air, and torchlight flickered, casting dancing shadows across the ancient carvings, telling stories of gods and pharaohs. She padded deeper in, eyes widening. Her ears twitched at the faint sound of rustling in the distance, but she pressed on, determined to uncover whatever secrets lay hidden. After all, Bastet herself had sent her here, and the goddess didn't waste time on trivial tasks. As Nanda ventured further, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. The flickering shadows seemed to take on lives of their own, and every now and then, she swore she saw movement at the edges of her vision. Great! Shadowy figures lurking in ancient temples. Nanda sighed. That's always a good sign. She soon found herself standing before a large altar, intricately carved with symbols of knowledge and creation, and encrusted with emeralds and rubies. Atop the altar rested a golden scroll, glinting faintly in the dim light. Nanda felt an inexplicable pull toward it, as though the scroll itself was calling her. This must be it, she thought, her heart racing slightly. She stepped closer, her eyes locked on the ancient object. Before she could reach the scroll, a voice echoed through the temple, deep and resonant. You seek knowledge, little one, but are you prepared for the truth? Nanda froze, her fur bristling slightly as she scanned her surroundings. The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. She tilted her head to the right, doing a little crab walk in a futile and, to humans, hilarious attempt to look menacing. After a few scampers back and forth, she stopped the antics, resigned. I'm not one to shy away from the truth, she replied, her voice steady despite the unease creeping through her. I've come to stop Shampoo. Bastet sent me. Why couldn't Bastet handle this herself? Nanda mused. Maybe the universe's delicate balance kept her paws tied. A goddess tipping the scales too directly might cause chaos. Or perhaps Shampoo's darkness reflected the chaos Bastet sought to contain. Nanda shook off the thoughts. Regardless of the reasons, she was here now, and she would do what was necessary. A low chuckle echoed through the chamber, and a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Thoth, an ibis-headed figure draped in flowing robes of gold and white. His eyes gleamed with ancient wisdom as his gaze fixed on Nanda, a mix of curiosity and amusement in his expression. Even a god couldn't resist finding the crab walk funny. So Bastet has chosen you, Thoth said, stepping closer, his voice like the whisper of wind through papyrus reeds. Such a sweet, innocent thing. Interesting. Do you understand the burden that she has placed upon you? Nanda straightened, trying to project confidence despite the god's imposing presence. I understand that Shampoo is messing with things he shouldn't, and it's my job to stop him, she replied, her sass slipping into her tone. The usual save the world stuff, you know. Thoth's golden eyes sparkled with amusement. Indeed, but it's not as simple as stopping one sorcerer. Shampoo seeks to undo Maat, the cosmic order that governs all things. To stop him, you must understand the forces at play. Nanda's mind raced, piecing together Thoth's words. This wasn't just about one man's greed for power. It was about the delicate balance of the universe itself. Of course it's more complicated than I thought, she whispered, a creeping anxiety tightening its grip on her. Thoth gestured toward the scroll. That contains the knowledge you seek. Keep it in mind though, Nanda, that once you read it, there's no turning back. The path you walk will grow more dangerous with every step. Nanda took a moment to digest the words just spoken before stepping forward. Dangerous paths are kind of my thing these days, she said with a smirk, trying to ignore the thump, thump, thump of her heart. She placed a paw on the scroll, feeling the warmth of the ancient parchment beneath her touch, as though it beat with its own life. The air around her seemed to still, the dim light casting more flickering shadows across the chamber walls. As it unfurled, symbols in the sacred language of the gods began to materialize, their faint glow, in what appeared to be almost a neon pink, illuminating the delicate patterns etched into the papyrus. The symbols rearranged themselves as if responding to her presence, forming words she could inexplicably understand. Her sharp mind latched onto the unfolding knowledge. It wasn't just words, it was an intricate map of understanding, far beyond anything she had encountered. The scroll's magic felt like a blend of ancient mysticism and advanced alien technology, as if it bridged the gap between the ethereal and the tangible. She marveled at the elegance of its design, how seamlessly it conveyed entire lifetimes of wisdom in a single glance. Without warning, Nanda staggered as a vision gripped her, more visceral and consuming than anything she had ever experienced. She was no longer in the temple, but plunged into a void that reeked of despair and desperation. Slowly, the darkness unfurled to reveal a chamber shrouded in malevolence. The flickering light of ancient enchanted flames danced along the walls, casting jagged shadows that seemed alive. At the center stood Shempu, his presence a looming force of calculated power. The air around him crackled with energy, every motion of his hands a deliberate act of defiance against natural law. Artifacts of immense age and danger surrounded him, their dormant energies stirred into uneasy wakefulness by his touch. Each incantation he uttered sent ripples of distortion through the chamber, unraveling the delicate balance of Mahat thread by thread. The boundary between realms trembled, the mortal and divine teetering on the edge of catastrophe. Then the vision turned, wrenching her perspective. She stood amidst the turmoil, her small frame a stark contrast to the tempest swirling around her. She stood in the eye of the storm, her small frame illuminated by the blinding radiance of the pendant at her neck. Its golden light blazed, resonating with strength and defiance. Around her, unseen forces gathered, a shimmering veil of divine power, ancient and unyielding, cocooning her in its protection. The vision shattered as suddenly as it had seized her, leaving Nanda blinking against the dim light of the temple. The enormity of her role in what was to come burned in her mind, refusing to be ignored. She lifted her gaze to Thoth, his ibis-like features imbued with an aura of calm wisdom. His eyes glimmered, deep and knowing, as though he had watched this moment play out across countless ages. "You understand now," he said, his voice resonating with an otherworldly cadence that seemed to echo beyond the chamber. "You are far more than a mere observer. You are the axis upon which the balance of Mahat turns, the bridge uniting the ancient past and the fragile present. Your presence is the fulcrum upon which all of existence teeters." Nanda exhaled slowly, the enormity of her role sinking in. "No pressure then," she muttered, looking to the ground. But deep down, a flicker of determination ignited. Whatever lay ahead, she would face it, armed with knowledge, the pendant, and a connection to the gods themselves. "Shempu grows stronger every moment," Thoth said urgently. "Maat thrives not through strength alone, but through harmony. The bonds you nurture will restore balance, not brute force. Remember this as you wield the pendant's power." Nanda nodded, a flicker of determination lighting her eyes. "I get it. Stop Shempu, save the universe, and try not to end up as a decorative throw rug." Thoth chuckled, the sound soft but warm. "Your sharp tongue may serve you well, little one, but wit and strength are not enough. Trust in the connections you forge. They will shape the outcome of this battle as much as your courage." Bonds. The word lingered as Nanda tilted her head, lost in thought. She recalled Bastet, Grace, and the strange, unshakable tie she felt to this ancient land. Perhaps, despite everything, she wasn't as alone in this fight as she had feared. Thoth's expression turned serious. "To confront Shempu, you must seek the Temple of Shadows. There the answers you seek await. But beware, the shadows guard their secrets jealously." Nanda's heart raced at the mention of Shempu's name, but she steadied herself. "Still no Temple of Mahat, huh? I was told from the beginning that's where I was headed. But all right. The Temple of Shadows it is. Be cautious, Thoth warned, his golden eyes reflecting wisdom beyond our comprehension. The shadows may reveal truths, but they can also deceive. Trust in your instincts, Nanda. With a final nod to Thoth, Nanda turned and made her way toward the temple's exit. The weight of the pendant around her neck felt a little lighter now, as though she was beginning to understand the magnitude of her role in this ancient struggle. Once again, she stepped into the blazing Egyptian sun, the knowledge of Shempu's looming presence heavy in her mind, and the sense that time was slipping away with every passing moment. Well, she muttered to herself, no rest for the chosen cat. With that, Nanda padded off into the sands, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead.